I created a new class called while loop. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at printing out the alphabet using a while loop. So the first thing we want to do is define a variable that's storing a letter. So I'm going to type char for letter, and I'll just type lettr, letter, and then I'm going to make letter equal to lowercase a. And what I'm going to say is while letter is less than or equal to the letter z, I'm going to print out letter. Okay. Now, with a while loop, there's two parts to it. You need some sort of condition, which we have here, and then we need a way to increment through letter, right? So letter is type character. So the way we can increment through this letter is by simply writing the word letter plus plus. But before I do that, let me go ahead and clear out my console. Terminate my previous program and clear this out. All right, there we go. If I run this right now and I hit F11, you'll notice that it non-stop prints the letter A over and over and over again. So our condition never gets met, so it runs forever. Letter never is equal to or less, or letter never runs to Z. Actually, so what we want to do is increment through letter. And it will run forever because letter is always going to be A. So it's really simple to do if you've probably figured this out from if you did the other tutorials. You just do letter plus plus, semicolon. Now when I hit F11 to run this, you'll see we get A through Z in our printout. That's kind of one nifty way of sorting through letters. And so the less than or equal to is also based on weighting of letters, so it can actually detect letter values. So let's take a look at combining our while loop with a for loop. And let's think about it. We've been doing a lot with letters. Let's do a little bit of math here. So we want to compute powers of 2. So all you have to think about is what a power of 2 is, just in case you don't know. It's just the base is 2, and then you have some sort of exponent, which is n. And in our program, we want our for loop to cycle through whatever the n value is. Okay, so let's see if we can figure out how to do this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and delete my while loop here. So I've got a clean slate here. And I'm going to do exp for exponent, make an integer. And then I'm going to make an integer called result 1. And I'm just going to create a for loop here. And what's nice is we're going to use our for loop to cycle through the powers of, or through the exponents, okay? So we'll do the same things before. I'm going to say integer I equals, and really there's no, I mean we could do 0 here, because if it's 0 exponent we'll get the number 0. And then we'll do I is less than 10, semicolon, and then we can increment I at this point. So what I'm going to do here is I want to assign exponent. This is pretty nifty. I. So what's cool about this is all of our exponents are going to be cycled through our for loop. Okay? And let's start result off with 1. So what I'm going to say here is while my exponent is greater than 0, because remember it starts off at 0 but then never runs again when it's going through my for loop, it'll jump to 1 here. So while exponent is greater than 0, all right, we've got to wrap our while statement in curly braces. I'm going to say result 1 equals result 1 times 2. Now I want to show you a shorthand way of writing this, okay? So 1 times 2 and so forth in this. And then what we do is we actually decrement our exponent. Okay. So let's take a look at how this works, right? We have our exponent that is greater than 0, right? So we're saying exponent I Well, let's start from the top. We have a couple of variables here. They're both integers, exponent and result. We have a for loop that's going to cycle through this and says I equals 0, I is less than 10, increment I. Okay, so we're going to increment I. Then we're setting result equal to 1. It's a good thing we caught that. And then we're saying exponent equals I, which is whatever we're cycling through. And as long as exponent is greater than 0, we're going to make result equal to result times 2. Another shorthand way of writing this is just simply result 1 times equals 2. And it's the same way of writing. Just imagine that you're inverting these and you're dropping result 1 in here. So I'm going to delete this line. I'm going to use my new shorthand way of writing it. And so after it's done running through the for loop, I'm just going to go ahead and print this out. Okay? Or I'm sorry, outside of my while loop, I'm just going to print out the something that shows my exponent. I'm going to say here 2 to the power of, or 2 to the, and then the I value, right? Power. So it's like 2 to the 1 power is, and then we're just going to print out result 1. Alright, so let's run this. And it looks like result here should be result 1. Alright, so we get 2 to the power, let's space this out. We get 2 to the power of 0, right, is 1, right? And then 2 to the power of 1, because we're always just printing this out. And we're just cycling through our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then what we know is result 1 equals result 1 times 2. And then we decrement our exponents. And so then when we print that out, by decrementing our exponent, it allows us to cycle through this